I've been traveling down this road for oh so long, not sure where it goes. I see faces in the dark with their hands up high, hands I cannot hold. Flashes of light beam up to the sky, and since I have no home, guess I'll enjoy the ride and push it right to the edge and overdrive, looking over the cliff. Guess I'll enjoy the ride. Give a little love when you see me, 'cause you don't know the path I've walked. I've made it all look easy, and I just need you to believe me, 'cause you don't know the things I've done. If you did, then you'd probably run. Flashes of light beam up to the sky, and since I have no home, guess I'll enjoy the ride and push it right to the edge and overdrive, looking over the cliff. Guess I'll enjoy the ride. And when I hear them sing to me, I'll know that I made it to the end. You wash away my sins and see, yeah, that I know where I came from. Yeah, I know where I've been. Flashes of light beam up to the sky, and since I have no home, guess I'll enjoy the ride. Push it right to the edge and overdrive, looking over the cliff. Guess I'll enjoy the
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Underground Cave. I am Geltip, and this is Thursday Night Paint Along with Geltip. And we're going to continue on with this guy over here. This is Kaspar von Mondstein. He's a Reaper Miniature 07073. And so we have already done 2 installments of this gentleman, and we are going to do the 3rd one this evening. So that is what we're doing tonight. So we're going to use our paints. If you have a yellow, I would suggest getting a yellow, because we're going to do some eye work today at some point. But I think if we have some yellow, because right now we have golden brown, which acts as a yellow, but it's kind of a muted yellow, and we really want these eyes to be sort of vibrant. So if you have a yellow, let's add that to our 9 paints, and we're gonna need paper towels. So make sure you have a way to glaze, and yeah. So if you haven't caught up on the previous 2 streams of this gentleman, I do have those on the YouTube. So join the Discord. I will put the links to those YouTube videos in the Discord so that you can catch up, and you can follow along today, or you can just watch along and chat with us if you wish. So I don't expect much chatting, but if you do, or if you're out there painting along, that's great. I know I go a little fast, but this might be the time to ask questions because I have to take my time doing small things. You're also going to need a brush that has a very pointy tip, so a very sharp tip, because we have to get into those eyes, and we want to make sure that we're getting only into the eyes and not flooding the socket. So, if you get your paints and you get your materials, let's get painting. All right, so for this one, we haven't really been using the magnifiers, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to use some magnifiers because I have some small detail work to do, and hopefully the camera will catch it. So let's make sure that I can get this on my head so it doesn't fall off. Okay, so I'm gonna have to look up when I want to read chat. You know what I should do? I should have something down here so when people chat, I can actually read it, but I don't have it. My setup is not fantastic. I should have my stream like kind of right in front of me and, you know, have all the pictures and stuff up there, but I don't. So we'll next season we'll do it. Here's our vampire we've been working on. So there's some glazing that has to be done in between some of these sections. We'll take care of that. And I want to make this guy sinister, so I'll give you a couple of tips and tricks that you can do to make your face look really mean and sinister. And then we're going to work somewhat on this cape. We're going to kind of get this cape flowing, and I'm hoping that we can get some sort of basic design in that cape because it's just kind of plain. It looks like that. This over here, I kind of like the way this looks. I'm going to probably do a little bit more highlighting on the burgundy. And then what I'm going to do, because the burgundy here looks a little too stark, we're going to kind of glaze that back down with the burgundy to try to soften up those highlights. So that's my goal today. We'll see how far we get. We also have a skull, and we also have a cloak clasp. I don't know what they call those things. I should have looked that up. And then we have this base that we can kind of work on. I might leave the base for you, but we'll see. I was thinking probably just a regular blue stone base because everything else is kind of on the warm side up here. But let's go ahead and start in on our project. And if anybody has any questions, please don't be afraid to ask. Asking me will always slow me down. Okay. So again, this is the kind of angle that I'm looking at for his highlighting. So we did a lot of highlighting here. And the only thing that's really kind of not highlighted is his cape over here. So we'll probably get this to be just a tad bit lighter. Or if I want to keep this light, I can always make this back darker because it's not getting any of the light. So you can do that two ways. You can make something lighter by making something else darker. But if you can see, everything here is pretty light, and then when we turn them around, everything back here is pretty dark. You still get to see the colors, but it's kind of on the darker side. And we don't have any real highlights back here as, you know, as predominant as we do here. So we're gonna kind of get all that stuff together. And if he's too plain back here, we'll figure something out. But I just kind of like the way all of this cloak, this flows. Like here, this black cloak looks with all the folds and stuff in it, and we can probably glaze it down again with some black or dark gray. But here, I don't mind it being super plain. Maybe we can do something with the collar. Maybe we don't. I'm not sure. But inside the cape, that's too plain for me. I want something to kind of read a little bit more on the wow factor here. He's a villain, right? If he's going to be a main villain, we don't want him to be just basic. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do here, I'm not going to start with the eyes yet. I'm going to give you guys a chance to kind of adjust your eyes. But one of the great ways of practicing detail stuff is to take. I'm going to use I'm going to use an index card, but you really want to use like you want to use a plastic, like your blister plastic. If you cut the face of the plastic off and then you prime it and just save it, you can use that because it's not going to be, your paint's not going to absorb into that plastic. And what you want to do before you start any detail work is you want to play, right? So if I take, I'm just going to take a little well here. I'm just going to take some mahogany just to show you. You don't have to do this, but if I just take some paint there, we have to thin it down where we can write with it. So I'm going to do 3 shots of medium. Not going to use water on this. I want medium because I want all of that pigment to stay in there. Now, if you have a dark contrast, you might be able to use that. And then we'll get a nice toothpick. And we'll mix it around there. So this is, you don't have to do this. I'm just showing you. So you want to thin it down. You don't want it to be a glaze, but you want to thin it down so you can write with it. And how do you figure that out? Well, you take your brush, you dip some in, get the point back, and then if you can write the letter B, see, that's a little too thin because look at that B. It's right there. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit more paint in here. So maybe 2 mediums is what we need. Now paint is different. I'm using Monument, so it's already thin. So I probably only needed 2 mediums. But maybe you're using thicker paint like craft paint, and you're probably going to need more. So let's try this again. You want to make sure that you get the point back on your brush. And you don't want it to be too thin. And again, you want to draw the B. So just like if you were writing with a pen. See, that's a much better detail that I can write with. And so with that, you want to be able to make some eyes, right? So you want to try to make them as tiny as you can. Right? So as soon as you can get them as tiny as you can, you look at the miniature and you figure out, do I have eyes today? Can I do it? I think I can do it. I think I can do it today. All right. So that's how, and you're going to use that. You're going to use not the mahogany paint, but you're going to use that technique for you doing freehand or doing trim or whatever we want to do. And I probably wouldn't use the wet palette when you're trying to do detail stuff like that. I'd probably stick with a painter's well, only because it won't dry out on you that quick, and it won't get too watery on you that quick. All right, but what I am going to do, so that was the first lesson. What I am going to do, what medium are you using? Will Flow Aid work? Flow Aid will work. It will thin it down. But really, any glaze medium or Flow Aid, as long as it's not going to deter the drying phase, you want to make sure that it will dry like an acrylic paint would. So if you have to wait 10 minutes for it to dry, you probably don't want to use that stuff. One of the things that I use, it's a hodgepodge of stuff that they put in there. It's kind of formulated. It's a special mix, but from Cuttlefish Colors, there's something called Merlin's Magic Medium. So this is really good stuff. Also, you can make a mix of some glaze medium and some water, which is kind of what I did in here. So there's glaze medium and water, and I put something else in here that I can't remember off the top, but Yeah, you just don't want to go straight water. You got to have some sort of medium because water is going to pull a lot of the pigment away, and you want it to kind of stay together. So we use medium to keep it together. A lot of times when we're glazing, it doesn't matter if you use water or medium, but usually when you're doing detail work, you kind of want to use that medium. Contrast medium is something else. So if you have contrast medium, which I think is just glaze medium, but if you take contrast medium, that works as well. And you might be able to use contrast paint or speed paint to help out the thinning. I mean, it's already thin, so just be careful. It might be a 1-to-1 thing. But you want to draw the letter B because it has the line and it has a couple loops. And if you can get those to be a consistent line, you've got a good paint. All right, we're just going to go through the wet palette, or excuse me, we're going to go through the paint palette again just to make sure everybody's got the right colors. We have a dark brown or a black. I'm using black brown from Monument Hobbies. We need some sort of golden brown or a tan color. So I'm using Monument Hobbies golden brown. And we need a red. We've been using a red, so I'm just going with Monument Hobbies bold Pyro red. It's a pretty bright red. Holly Berry from Reaper or Evil Scun Scarlet from Citadel. I do have alternates listed in the Discord. Ivory. I'm using Monument Hobbies Ivory. Then I'm using a white, but it's an off-white. So we're using Reaper's Linen White 09061. We're also using a very muted down light green, almost a sickly green. That's 09322 Jungle Mist. We're using a burgundy color, 09025 from Reaper Burgundy Wine. I think I didn't use, did I use black? You know, I can't remember if I used black or Nightshade Purple. I think I might have used coal black. You can't read it on here, but Monument Hobbies got a coal black, COAL. So I think that's what I used. I don't remember if I used Nightshade Purple, but that's if you have a tinted black. This is the purple is what I would suggest. So 09022 and Cantor Blue, and I put my Cantor Blue in this little dropper bottle so that I can actually make drops with it. But here's the Cantor Blue. I just put it in this little, Army Painter makes some dropper bottles that you can throw in. I wouldn't suggest changing all of your Citadel paints to dropper bottles, but if it's ones that you use, and I also put a shaking ball in it as well from Army Painter. So there's the Army Painter plug. If you're really into Citadel, I would suggest looking at the air paints because you can use those straight up as paint or as brush acrylics. You don't need to throw them in the airbrush. And then I would also, and it's got a bunch. It's already kind of thin, so those are easier if it's in a dropper bottle. But you can also they stay longer instead of trying to rejuvenate all of the base paints. And for my yellow that I'm going to use today, golden yellow from Monument Hobbies. It's just the first yellow I could pick up. I mean, this is a vibrant yellow. I could go yellow mold to be a brighter yellow, but the yellow is just for an accent. It's not really, you don't want it to be an orange yellow. You want it to be a regular yellow or a light yellow. Pale yellow might be a little too bright. This is what a pale yellow looks like, so you may not want to do super bright yellow, but something vivid and vibrant. Hey, Make Right, what's going on? Alrighty. How are you doing, sir? It's been a minute. I keep seeing you all over the place. I just never get a chance to chat as much as I would like to. However, I am on vacation next week, so I will be lurking around, and I probably will be in people's channels. All right. So, first thing I want to do is I want to kind of glaze out some of these hard edges that I've got. I'm going to just spend a couple minutes getting my bearings here. So I'm going to use the Reaper's number 2. I guess I'm not using the Reaper's number 2. Give me 1 second. I'm going down here to get my brush, because I really want to use the Reaper 2. All right. Okay. Not great, but still alive. Ooh, that doesn't sound fun. Glad you're alive, though. All right, so what I need to do is I'm going to mix some of the golden brown and the black brown together. So you take some of your dark brown, you take some of your tan color, and make some points. So I'll make some points right here. And I'm actually going to put a dot right there. I don't know if that was a dot. That might be a bubble. All right. And I'm going to take my tan. I'm going to throw the tan over here. And put some in there. There we go. And we get a mixing brush. And mix that together. Now this we can use a little bit of water with to make sure it gets fully mixed in there. Using the wet palette for this. There we go. And we'll get rid of this. Well, you'd better be going to dinner tomorrow night. Oh, I'm going. Don't you worry. I will be there. I can't wait. I want to say hi to all those Pyro Club people. The only one I really have any contact with is Muses. But I'll be there. Don't you worry. All right. So we're just going to kind of glaze. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that color that we just mixed, and I'm going to kind of go, when I glaze with it, I'm going to go, the mix color, that's what I want to say. The mixed color, we're going to start in the mixed area, and we're going to work its way to the light area, and then we're going to come back to the edge, right? So it's one of these. You start in the mixed area, you're going to wipe with the side tip of your brush, you're going to wipe it, and then you're going to bring it back to the edge and lift it up. Why? Because when you lift it up, all of that paint deposit will be where you want it. Difference between a wash and a glaze: the glaze stays where you control the glaze. A wash, you let the medium control where it goes. So we need to have a glaze. So that is going to be, I'm going to get some water here. I'm actually going to use this and see if I can get this to be my glaze. So I'm going to get some water in here. That looks like some water. So that looks like a 2 to 1 mixture. Let's see. Start with a 2 to 1. Maybe we go 3 to 1. We'll see. Got to find something with writing on it. Do I have anything with writing on it? I do not. Let's see. Anything on here? Nope. All right. So we'll take this. We'll take my little card that I've been using, and I'll just kind of draw with it. So it looks like I need a little bit more water because that line is kind of disappearing. It's there, but it's disappearing. So I need to put more water in. So let's get more water here. One. That looks like another set. So we'll try that. Having the dropsies today. All right, I think I can get away with that. So you see, as I use the side of the brush and I stop, see where most of my paint is right here? I can touch it, right? And that's where it stays. It's not coming backward. It's the paper's absorbing it. But if I washed it, if I do this as a liquid, like if I don't touch the paper towel, see, it's just all wet right in there. So you don't want that. You want to be able to control where it goes. So where's my paper towel I had? All right, I'll just take it here. We'll take it from here then. I'm losing my mind is what I'm doing. Okay. All right, so as we touch the paper towel, we try to get, what we're really trying to do is get that point shaped. And so if you can get the dot to be as small as it can go, then you're going to use the top. See how nice that highlighting is? I can see those lines and it's not going to go anywhere. Okay. All right. So take this. See, as soon as you put it in the thing, look at, there's no tip there. All that moisture is on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch the paper towel and let it, my point come back. And what you're doing, just kind of dabbing, dabbing. You want that point to come back. A lot of moisture. Look at how much moisture. You want to get as small dots as you can, right? You don't want to hold the brush sideways. Whoops, you don't want to hold the brush sideways. You want to kind of hold it upright, maybe 60 to 75 degrees, and then see how I can just make those little points. And now you can see the point back on the brush. And so we start in the mixed area. Slide it to the light area and then come back to the edge and lift it off. And that's how we're going to glaze. And so you want to kind of do it quick. I know I'm doing it, I did it slow so you could see, but the more you can pull it off there, it'll start to go. Now we're going to do the same thing with the golden brown, but we have a mix here, so we have to use the mix first. So I'm going to do all the mix. So anywhere where you think that you left a sharp edge line is where you want to go. So again, right here you can see the sharp edge line. So I'm just going to go where the mix is into their area and come back out. And I'm taking it off where that line is. And hopefully it will disappear. It may take a few passes, but we can do it. And it's very important when you glaze, you don't hit the same area until it's dry. The other thing you can do is you can dab, but you have to dab on both sides. You can't just dab on one side. You have to dab on both sides of the line. And I have some music that we can play. I just want to make sure that we're getting into this. This is the third installment, so this is the time where we want to actually make sure that we're kind of getting things neatened up. This is the neaten up and personality phase, if you want. We have it color blocked. Everything here has been painted, so now we're just trying to do our due diligence here of getting rid of these edges. And after you do like 4 spots on the miniature, you should be able to go back and get rid of this again. And each time you do it, you want to go a little smaller in your transition. All you're really trying to do is get rid of that hard edge there. So you still get that hard edge there, so we're going to try to get rid of that. So I'm going to start in the mixed area and work my way to the light and then back. I'm not feathering it in, or I don't know what they call, I don't actually know how to feather. I gotta look that up. But it's not like I'm doing one side. I'm actually coming back because I kind of want it to go into the bright just to give it a little shade and then come back. So I have a coffee stain there that we're going to have to get rid of. See that coffee stain? And I can do that with just doing the golden brown, going from the golden brown area in, back out, in, back out, in, back out. All right. Oh, that's the paint. We don't want the paint. I want the glaze. I'm all out of glaze. No! So down here, we did the whole stippling thing. So you're going to stipple on both sides of the line. And you're just going to kind of just like, you're just going to make that little, it's just like little pokes with the tip of the brush. So that's different ways you can use the glaze to kind of blend stuff in. Oh, that's a big one right there. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, that might be a little too dark. So we're going to mix a little bit more here. Make a little bit of a brighter. It might have been 2 to 1 anyway. I don't remember. I didn't go back and watch the videos. I just assumed that was a 1 to 1. Might be 2 golden browns to 1 black brown. All right. And let's do this once again. So just putting some water in there. You gotta kind of figure out how much water you need. That looks pretty good right there. And I'll collect some of this paint and wash it in there. And let's see how this works out. Since it's a new glaze, we gotta test it again. That looks good. Can highlight with brown. All right. Ooh, sorry about that. Did I knock us off kilter? I did. Hold on. There we go. All right. So here's this line right here I'm not fond of. So I'm going to start with the mix and come back up. Down and up. Down and up. Down and up. So because this is a little light, I can dot it on both sides. You don't have to swipe here because it's such a little area. So I'm just kind of dotting back and forth. Might need more glaze. Now I know what you're saying. You're saying, well, I'm not seeing it. I don't think you're doing anything. And you're not meant to see it yet. You're meant to see it after like 3 applications. I mean, what you're trying to do is blur out that edge line, right? So as it dries, that layer of paint is still on there. It's just not as opaque. But when you put on another glaze, you're glazing over that color again. And it's sort of like lighting gels. If you keep putting the same color gel on top of each other, one of them is not going to look any different. But when you start putting a bunch of them together, you start turning what you want into an orange filter, and eventually it becomes opaque. So it's okay, we're already off kilter. All right, I still gotta do something with that. That edge is kind of messing around, or messing me up here. So we're gonna just I'm gonna glaze that edge out. That's my goal today. Outside of the eyes is I'm gonna glaze this out. There we go. It's starting to come out. And this over here needs to do the same. And eventually I'll glaze the lighter color back over this, but I want to make sure that I have a good layer on here. See, this is a little darker, not as dark as I want it to be. So let's kind of fuzzy that lighter color out. So I'm going to just come in and down. I'm going to come down and back up. And the idea is to leave that paint on that edge. Sometimes I have to stipple. All right, I'm going to do the same thing with the golden brown. So I'm going to take some golden brown, stick it in here, mix it around. Might need a little bit more golden brown. This all takes time. You'll get the feel of what a glaze is. I usually I try to start with 2 mediums. That looks good. 2 mediums and 1 paint, and then I gauge it from there. Sometimes if you're using very thin paint, you don't need a lot of medium. So here I'm going to start with the brighter color, and I'm going to start in the brighter area. So here I'll start here, work my way in the darker area, and then come back up. And just do a little stippling around that. Do the same thing over here. Here, either I have to come up and down, or I have to go right, left, or I'll just go up, down. There we go. Here I'm going to start on the edge and go right to left and back. And all you want to do is get rid of that large layer line. This goes a long way to making your miniature look very clean. Oops. I think I went a little too far in there. There we go. This one's a little trickier. I think I'll just stipple on both sides, light side and dark side. Only, you want to be on each side. So when I'm stippling, when I say stipple, this is what I'm saying. Saying you take this glaze, you find the layer line, and we'll say this is the dark, this is the light. You're just going to stipple on both sides of the line like this. It doesn't have to, you don't have to go all the way in, but you have to get around that layer line, and eventually it will highlight it. And it will soften that edge down just a little bit. That's what I mean by stippling. You gotta be on both sides of the line. Let's see. So some cases you can swipe with the side of your brush. Other times you have to kind of stipple around. And it's just this kind of back and forth. So you can see how I start making coffee stains inside my dark area. So I'll just go back to my original dark glaze. And I'll just kind of get rid of those little coffee light stains in the dark areas. We don't want that. So like right here, I think I went too far here. So I'm just kind of erase this little coffee stain right here. And I'm only where the layer line is. So see, whoops. See this coffee stain right here? I'm just gonna kind of be on each side of it. And I'm just gonna kind of deposit the paint back over that coffee stain, bringing it back to its darker color. And I didn't totally get rid of it. There we go. Oh, I said I was going to put music on. I never did. Such a bad host. Let's do that now. I'll let you guys continue on doing your little glazing, and I'll put some music on. See, this is how you slow me down, because I have to forget things. All right, let's see. What do we got here? All right. Ooh, house grooves. We got industrial. Let's see what industrial does. What eerie? Come on, where's the eerie? We can deal with this. Until it starts getting super weird, we can deal with this. Alright. I have to fix this up in here. Let's do that now. Get that point back on the brush. Use the side of the brush. Start in the dark area. I'm going to work my way out and back in. Out and back in. Deposit. Deposit that right on that line. There we go. I think it's the dark one. I think it's the dark brown that I'm not glazing in all the way, so I'll have to do that. I think that's why I'm starting to lose some of that. But everything else, see, no more coffee stain there. There's really no more coffee stain there. I will take some of this dark brown. I will make a glaze out of this. This is going to be a tricky glaze, so you want to get it as thin as you can because it's dark. This looks like a good spot to test this out. Might be a little too bright. So I'll add a little bit more paint, not too much. Okay. I know it doesn't look like there's a difference, but there is. You could tell this versus this. This is what we want. Alright. I'll flip the paper towel over so I can get a point back quickly. And I'm going to try to start deep inside, work my way out and back in. It's going to look a little dark at the beginning. It should dry. You don't want to go all the way in. You're not making a two-color system. You're kind of making more of a five-color system, but I think I've lost some of that dark value that we need to bring back in. So I know I'm going a little quick, but I'm just trying to figure out where all my light is, and I'm only trying to stay as close, like right here. I'm just starting in the recesses and coming back. So this isn't like I'm not blending anything here. I'm just trying to stay on the edge, come into a color and come back to that edge. There we go. That's starting to come back. So back here, I'm not trying to wipe out my bright. I'm just trying to get my dark blended back in there. We'll do it once more, and then we'll start working on some sinister eyes. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to glaze the shirt down a little bit. So where all that stuff was again, we're just going to go deep in, come in and back down. Just want to hit some of that lighter area. You don't want to stay in the lighter area, you just want to get rid of. And if you're having a hard time getting rid of the edge line, just go ahead and start stippling in on both sides and it should go away. And I don't want to go in as far as I did. I'm just trying to get the value going. You want the dark in there. Go. And then we have all this down here we have to do. I totally forgot about his boots. But you know what? I'm confident in your abilities now that you guys can work on the boots without me. I'll do some of the boot though. Just getting some of that dark shadows back in there because the dark is what helps the brightness. All right. Take some of the light glaze that I have left and just kind of now this is what you can do with a glaze. You can highlight where you want the light coming from by just glazing in where we want the light coming in. So like I can just kind of hit this and I don't have to glaze this light color anywhere else. So it's almost like I'm highlighting, but I'm not really highlighting. I'm just glazing in where certain spots of the miniature, so when I look at them, only that's going to be glazed. So I'll look at them again. I'll glaze down here a little bit, not the whole thing, just the corner of this. I'll glaze this right here. Try that again. There we go. And we'll glaze in some of the boots. All right. Gonna do some of the burgundy wine now. Just one dot of the burgundy wine. Get some clean water. Clean water. Try to make a glaze out of this. Just using water to glaze. Could use medium if I wanted to. Okay, we'll test out our burgundy wine color. It's a little dark. So we'll do another shot of water. Running out of lines to highlight. That should work. That should work. It's my burgundy glaze. And what we're going to do with that burgundy glaze still with our number 2. We're going to get that point back. Trying to get all that moisture off from the beginning. And I'm just going to go in. And this is sort of like a wash, but notice that I'm not going to wash. I'm not going to get color on the yellow. I'm just going to go in and just paint this on, or stipple, however you want to do it. You just want to get this glaze only on his burgundy shirt. If it's a wash, it's going to go everywhere. It's going to get into his cloak. It's going to get onto his face. So to glaze it, you've got to get that moisture off so that you can control where you want this burgundy. And all I'm going to do, once it dries, it will dull down all of those nice highlights that we put on. That's why you go overboard with the highlights, because when you filter with a glaze, it brings it all back down. So I'm just, if you find that your glaze is going everywhere you don't want it to, then you have to touch the paper towel even more. Don't forget to do the back. And the reason why you don't use contrast to glaze, I think the contrast leaves a shininess. And unless you're actually doing like metal work where you kind of want the shininess, I would stay away from using contrast for inks to glaze. So I got some hard line back there with the bright, so I'm gonna have to go in there and touch that up. So while you're glazing the shirt, and I'm just gonna do a quick glaze. Do a quick fix glaze here. I don't know how I got those edge lines back on there, but that's not what I wanted to do. Hopefully you didn't make that mistake. I'm just stippling out the edge line here. Alright, we'll come back. Okay. So it'll come back because my glaze is wet, so it's gonna look like it's not. Alright, let's see, where are we going now? So we have that and that, so it's time to go get our sharp point and make sinister eyes. Now, to make sinister eyes, first of all, this guy has big bushy eyebrows, right? They're just sculpted in there. And I think, looking at this, I can't get around that. I don't think I can get around that. I'm going to take my Jungle Mist. Jungle Mist was our base color and we highlighted it, so this will be a natural shade color. Even though it's pretty bright green, it's muted, but it will act as a shade color with all that brightness that we have. And so I'm going to take my sharp brush and I'm going to try to make a line between his eyebrow and his eye. And I'm going to go into the eyebrow because I kind of want him to have this curly eyebrow going into his nose. Like this. And there's a reason for me doing that. So right now it looks goofy, but we'll get him to be a little more sinister in a second. Now, do not worry if you can't do this. It's more of me showing you so that you have something to practice. But you're trying to get a nice highlight around the eye itself. I did not do a good job there. Problem is, on mine, it's not sculpted the same on both sides. Where's my black? Okay. Take this black. And I'm just going to paint the top of the eyebrow. So the first thing to do is when you have an eyebrow, always give an angular eyebrow so that you want it going from the nose at an angle. So that's how you get the angry eyebrows. So I'm just going to make it a little bit more angular. Now there's two schools of thought here. I could go with the Nightshade Purple, which is a very dark purple. It's a black purple, and get in the eye sockets. But I'm going to actually go pure black. But I'm not going with black paint. I actually want to kind of glaze it in. So you kind of want thin paint for this. So I'm going to use some water and some black. You don't want it super thin, but you are going to touch the paper towel, or at least get your point back. So to make sinister eyes, we need to have an eye socket, but then we want to go super dark in that eye socket. So I'm just going to kind of go super dark in this eye socket. And I'm just dabbing in the wet glaze. I'm not painting. I'm just kind of dabbing in and letting whatever medium is in there kind of take over, but it's not going to go all over the face. So you want to find where the eye socket is, and you want to make it super dark. I'm also going to do it in the mouth here, because I want to make those fangs a little bit more pronounced. there's a couple spots in here that I want to try to fix up. So while that's drying, if you find any inconsistencies with your face, your highlights, you can go ahead and fix them up. And I see I got some face or flesh on his hair, so I'm gonna kind of fix that up with my nice sharp tip brush, my liner, not my glaze, but my actual black paint, and I'm just gonna get in there very carefully. Just paint that black. Make sure that nothing else looks out of place. We're good. This looks like it's some hair right here. I'll give him a little cowlick. I know, I'm so mean. Give him the Eddie Munster look. I'm so mean to my bad guys. Alright, how's that looking? I think I need a little bit more right here and here. If it goes, I don't know if it'll go. Alright, there we go. So now I know he's got big, huge black eyes. Oops, sorry. Now I know he's got big, huge black eyes. But that's what we want, because we want that dark area around the eyes, because we're gonna go in with some linen white. So a lot of people are scared. I understand. I'll show you a quick demo here. Where's my little eyes? All right. So I'm gonna actually make this much larger so that you can see what it looks like. But let's pretend these are my eyes. Oh, one of these days I'm not going to knock this camera. Let's see. There we go. Oh, thank you. All right. Here's the trick. Let me just dry this off. This is paper, so it'll dry really quick. It's supposed to dry really quick. Make them nice and big so that you can see what I'm about to do. I'm even going to use a larger brush because some of you might be using a large brush. So there's two tricks to this, and I'm going to show you which way we're going to do. But we have a brush that has paint on it, right? And so here's the paper. I'm going to go in like this, and I'm going to come straight down. So I'm holding it at a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to come straight down. That's all I'm going to do. So you hold it over at a 45-degree angle, and you're going to go straight down. Straight down. That's all it is. You hold it at a 45-degree angle, you go straight down and come back up. And it will make these ovals. Now, if you have big eyes or you have a small enough brush, you might be able to get those to be all the way in nice and even, right? Then when you go in with the eyes, you have your paint on the tip, and you're gonna go this way and go straight down. So I can't do this where you can see it, but I'm just gonna go straight down. Oops. I have to actually have paint on the brush. I go straight down. See? And you just make this dot. And if you use these tricks, now the other way you can do it is if you draw your black line, you can put two white dots in here, like so, and leave a black in the middle. But that's a little more trickier, but there's an idea around that. But we're not going to do that. We're going to make this simple. He has no pupils, so we don't have to worry about this. But what we need to do is make sure that there's white in there so that when you pop the red in there, we can make it glow with the yellow. The yellow is where you want your dot. Now, do you have to put your miniature on the table and do it straight down? No. If you're holding your miniature flat, right? So if my miniature is flat like this, I'm going to come in like this, right? Or if this is where my miniature is, I'm going to poke them straight on. Okay? So that's the idea. You can watch me, see if you want to do it. If you want to wait and practice it, you can wait and practice it. But to get the sinister eyes, you have to have the dark in that area. A nice, large, dark area. And then we're going to get the white. But we don't want to make the white... You don't want to wipe out that black. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to hope to do this. I have to get the... Okay, so you can watch what I do. I'm going to try to stay on camera. And I just want ever so slightly we're going to do the same thing on this side. No, that didn't work. I need more paint. Okay, so see, I'm at a weird angle. I got his nose. So, oh, are you worried? Watch this. Take this water, flood the area. Take a nice dry brush, soak it all up, and I'm going to restart as soon as that area is dry. So it's like I never did anything wrong. All right, So that's the white. I'm just gonna try to make it a little bit more white. I'm gonna try to stay in that white area. I don't want to make it any bigger than I got it. So that's one. And I think the other area might be a little too saturated. So that'd be a good idea for me to go in with the black. Just to get it a little darker in there. There we go. We'll let that kind of dry itself off. I'll use that white to do some of the fang work. Again, see, that's too much paint on my brush. But I'm going to try to go in at the side and just hit those fangs just a tiny bit. Alright. While we're waiting for that eye to go, see, it's really flooded. But I'll show you how to fix that. That's not a hard thing to fix. It just adds to the effect. It's gonna be super dark in there when I get the white in. But the thing I want to do is I want to take some red and blue. Red. Now this here was a color that we had created using the golden brown. We had a little bit of blue, but we had some ivory and we had some red in there. We were trying to create this, I think it was it 3 reds, 2 golden browns, and 1 ivory? So, the thing I want to do is I'm going to take some blue in here. And I want to mix. So I'm going to do a 1-to-1 mixture of this red and this blue. I want to create a nice dark version of this red color. And we'll thin it down just a little bit. So red is the unifying color in this. It's not really a glaze, but we're gonna kind of treat this thick paint or this as a glaze. So if I look, that's pretty opaque. And so what I want to do with this is I want to actually work this thin paint into these folds. So I'm just gonna kind of paint in those folds. Because there's already red in this color, it'll work out fine. And notice that I'm not really being careful where I want to go with this. Right? I'm leaving a little bit of a shade there, or a highlight, but I'm going to end up highlighting that anyway. So just kind of getting some in here. And get some right on the side here. I'm using a mixing brush to do this, probably not the best idea, but... And I'm just painting anything that's not like a high edge. In here is a little difficult. We'll do that. Hold the miniature this way so I can get over here. so that kind of just gives it a little bit more texture. As this dries, it'll darken down. And because I have a lot of warm colors that we use for that cape, that blue in this darker red that we just did is going to cool down the shadows and give you some contrast. So it's going to give you texture. But we can't just shade it and not highlight it. So we're going to do the same thing with the highlighting. We're not going to use a bigger brush like this. That was my bad for using the mixing brush. So we'll clean off that. And we'll get out our ivory, because that's what we used, I believe. I don't think we used linen white. Somebody can remind me what we used to do the cape, but I'm pretty sure it was ivory. So I'm going to use the red. So I think it was it 3 reds? I'll clean this off. I think it's 2 golden browns. And then I think it's an ivory. I don't think we used anything else. Did I use green? Did I use some of that jungle mist? I don't know. I'm going to add another ivory in here. That looks good. Nice salmon-y light color. I might have wanted to dull it down with the jungle mist, but we'll try this out first. Alright, let's get a nice brush. This doesn't have to have a tip on it. Just needs to be nice and wet. So we're just gonna kind of get some nice thin paint here. Twirling it around. And I'm gonna kind of just hit this. I'm gonna kind of hit these higher edges, so I'm just gonna kind of it's gonna look very bright at the moment. It's almost going to be like a stripe. So we just have to let it dry before we go any farther with it. Nope. Get the one down here. And I'll do the one in here, but I don't think. Alright, we'll do that. So that gets us our lighting and our shading. We still have that other unifying color down there. So the unifying color is red. So this is where, I wonder if I did add a little bit of this green. Let's add a little bit of this green and see what we get. that might be what I did. And then I'm going to add a little bit of this red back in, so I want it just a little bit darker. A little bit of the blue. I know I'm totally destroying this original color here. So the red and the blue are in this. Okay. So what I did is I really took what's in here and our original mix and our highlight, and I put it all back into here. And this is what I'm going to use to glaze, and I'm going to do a filter glaze on this entire thing. So everything, every color that's in that cape will be right here. So we're going to filter this, and then we'll worry about some defining features to it. Let's get back to the eye while that's drying. All right. Hopefully you're confident with the eye. Let me make sure that this is nice and dry. Yep, okay. I'm gonna try this one more time. I have to try to get in an angle that I can see this at. So I apologize if I have to be off camera. I have to get really close. Okay. I knew that was going to happen. I breathed on my paint. There we go. So we're looking for right there. Now he looks spooky with the white eyes, but he looks sort of like he's out of it. So we're gonna make those glow. The way we make those glow is we're gonna take red, and we're gonna mix in some yellow. But before we mix in the yellow, don't go ahead of me. We're going to take 3 reds. 1, 2, 3. And it's kind of going to be like a fiery orange when we put in this yellow. But that's kind of what I want. I don't want to start off with red because then I can't get to the transition. So we're just going to stick in a little bit of that yellow, and it's going to kind of make it pop a little bit. You don't want orange, but you want it to glow a little bit. Adding some yellow to that will make it sort of glow. And I'm using the wrong brush for that, I believe. Am I using the right brush? Oh no, I was using the right brush. What was I doing? Okay. So, again, you're going to use a little bit of paint. You're painting over a white surface, so this should show up really quick. And I'm painting all of the white. Do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna have to fix up that other side. And we'll let that dry just a little bit. Let me just go over to this side and fix this really quick. See how that fixes right up? Although I have to get the black back in there. So we'll wait for that to dry. And this is what you're going to do. So you're going to actually put your yellow in an oval. So you're not going to make a yellow dot, but you're going to leave a lot of that red, just kind of like we did the red around that black. We're going to get the yellow there. So you may need to touch up some black afterward. Black is always a color you can touch things up with. But the trick here is to get the glow. And so we're going to take that yellow. We're going to go pure yellow on this. You don't have to paint white and then yellow, because the red already has some yellow. And you just want to touch it so that you keep the red. So you want to look at it. I know that I'm seeing it, but you're not. So give me a second. That's kind of where you want to go. Now you may need to touch it again after this dries. You may not get to see the full yellow, because when it dries, it'll dull down. I'm trying to do this on camera, but it's really difficult for me to get the angle. So now that I got the yellow in there, I'm happy with that. I might touch the yellow again, but now I can go around with that black again and try to get that to be much darker in there. Or I can use a dark purple if I wanted to try to get that lining in there. You don't want to kill the cheek though, because it's that bright cheek, then it's the dark recess, and then the glowy eye. And that's how you can make some sinister eyes. And then as you angle the eyebrows, it makes them look very angry. The other thing that you can do to make this look a little bit more sinister is by taking just a tiny amount of white and adding in just a little bit of that vampire skin. Right? See, this is mostly white with a little touch of that vampire skin. And remember where we crinkled his nose? Really get that nice and crinkly. So you gotta do that with a point of your brush. So I'll just kind of do it right here, because I want that to be bright, if I can do it. Do the tip of his nose and dot his forehead in between the eyes. If you can make those 3 dots, it'll make it look. Let's see if I can do this with the white. I'll do it with the linen white. See if you could see it. Someday. Alright. So there he is, right there. Now I'm going to do the white. So I'm going to dot in between his eyebrows. I think I'm going to dot in between his eyebrows. There we go. I'm going to dot the top of his bridge. And I'm going to dot his nose, the tip of his nose, so it all looks wrinkly. I'm just dotting his cheeks so it looks like they're coming up. I think I did too much on his nose bridge. I have to fix that. So I think that was the nightshade purple we did. Take that nightshade purple. think we mixed that into this green. And I'm just going to redefine these lines here. Nope, that didn't work. Well, it did work, but I have it too dark. So let me fix that. I just want this to be a little darker. Oops, I just scalped them. I just scalped them. That was not right. All right, let me, anyway, that's his eyes. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of fix those eyes just a tad bit. I'm going to use regular black to do that. I'm just going to line around the eyes, so you just need a nice sharp point. And I'm just going to kind of go around the eye, making sure that that black is right there. Nothing says eye recessed than black. And then we'll do a little bit of light green around that black to really sell the sinisterness. There we go. He's getting there. I think I have to go a little bit more with that yellow. So I'm going to just hit it with a little bit of yellow. I'll add a little bit of white to the yellow. I don't want to wash it out too much, but I want it just a tad bit lighter. So it's not like, it's not a very pale yellow. It's just a little bit brighter, and I'm just going to touch where the yellow is. Just to make it glow a little bit brighter. May have lost the red in there. I may have lost the red in the one eye. I may have to go back. Because I did the black. I mean, it's there, but it's not as pronounced as the other side. Alright, so this is now dry, the cape. So what I'm going to do is grab my other well, and I'm going to use medium this time. Why? Because this is a glaze, this is going to be a filtering glaze, and so I don't want all of this pigment that we just mixed in to run on me, to pull apart. So because this is a pretty thick paint with all that paint in there, so I'm just gonna apply this to this glaze, this medium here. Now you can use water, don't get me wrong, it's not like you can't use water for this. For me, because I mixed in all those paints, I just feel like medium's my better choice here. But we can see that that's way too thick, so I'm gonna need more medium. That's what I was afraid of. So we'll add 4 to the 1 and see how this goes. So that might be a little too light. This is drying a little bit darker. I think I want to go just a little bit darker than that. That one's better. That's the one we're going to use right here. So that was too dark, too light. This is close, but this is where I want to be. And we treat this as glaze, so we get out my handy dandy paper towel. And we're going to get that point back to our brush. This one doesn't necessarily need too much of a point. You're not blending anything here. You're going to filter. And what I want to do is I want to filter that highlight down into the recesses. So I'm just going to paint over it. So it's a glaze that I'm painting with. So I'm just painting over this entire cloak here. And the dark will stay dark, but the light will kind of blend itself in. I'm not doing very well with my paint on. Alright, so I just want to kind of filter this back in. So it looks like you're painting, but you're really not painting. You're applying this thin glaze over all of this, and it sort of starts to soften all the highlights and shadows. And then if I went dark enough with the shadows, probably didn't go dark enough with the shadows. I'm trying to get rid of this pooling right here. Go. So this is one way that you can, so this is the greatest way to highlight red, is just keep highlighting with the orange or the pinks and get it to a point where you think, oh, now I've got stripes, now I got pink stripes. And then you go back in with the red glaze and just kind of filter it all back in. So we started with this like fleshy tone cape. I'm gonna bring it back, but now you're gonna start to see the subtle highlights and the subtle shades. And you can start to see how bringing in, like, this isn't so bright now up here. And this just looks flat. So I must not have pulled the highlights too far out here. Alright, so he has fingernails. A lot of people like to do black fingernails. I always think of a vampire having these kind of brown ivory fingernails. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some so I'm gonna mix 4 colors together. You ready for this? We're gonna start with the dark brown. We're gonna go with some golden brown. Let's do 2 golden browns, 1 black brown. And I'm gonna take a little bit of the ivory. This is a very powerful color, so it will highlight that. And now I'm going to take a little bit of the red. Do I want to do that? I'm going to try something else. I think red was the wrong color. Brown. 2 golden yellows. Come on, 2 golden yellows. Ivory. Blue. I think it's blue. That's where I want to go. I want to go blue. Alright, so we're going to do 1 dark brown, 2 golden browns, a blue, and 2 ivories. That should get us to where we want to be. It's almost like this dark bone color. And it's kind of where I want to go with it's kind of where I want to start with the fingernails. So we're going to paint the fingernails on with this color. Now you just thought he had sharp fingers, but he has these little fingernails that we can get on here. Because if you look at his hands, just above his hands, there is a little fingernail. Now, that could be flash, and that I just didn't take off, but I'm pretty sure they're little fingernails that are rotted. That's where I'm trying to go with this. I'm trying to go with this rotten color, and I want to add in, I'm going to add in a golden brown and ivory color to the tops of these, but I want a nice base color here. So there's always stuff to paint while we're waiting for things to dry. Do you ever notice that? That's why I don't paint everything at one shot. Alright. So they're probably hard to see at the moment. A little bit of golden brown and ivory, and the reason I'm doing that is because let's see. Let's do a little bit of blue. Whoops, that's too much blue. Yeah. So a little golden brown, a little bit of ivory, and a little bit of blue. So I think that gets you a nice sickly little green color. And you should be able to hit the tips of those. Don't go all the way to that dark color because then you don't have a separator. But look nice and gross. Like the old nails got like fungus or whatever. Don't do his fingers. His nail comes past his fingers. So if you grew your nails long, keep those fingers nice and, you know, that vampire color. Alright, let's see. Get a nice bright green here. Spooky vampires for Halloween times. That is true. I chose this miniature to paint along for a reason. Just want to get a little highlight color right above his eye because that is where the black is touching. Do the same thing on his cheek. And then eventually I have to get that, eventually I'll have to get that red back into that one eye. Just gonna fix up the lip here, because I got a little bit of black on there. Just the lips just above his fangs will do. His nose. Little dot right above his bridge. Little dot right between the eyebrows. All right. How you doing, Wampa Dan? How is your Thursday going? Oh, it's almost 11 o'clock. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of clean him up just a little bit. So I'm not going to be able to get to the fancy stuff today with his cape, but what I will do is give him another glaze over. So we'll take some of that glaze we mixed up, and I will get back my point, and I will see that glaze didn't, it just kind of made those highlights subtle, or kind of shift them down a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing. We're just going to shift those glazes down a bit. Oops, I got some on his boot. That'll be a fix. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just kind of glazing doing that filtering glaze, bring everything together. You still have the dark in there. You still have the light. So it's still going to give you the texture you're looking for. Okay. I'm going to take some of this red color we use for the eyes. I'm just gonna go over the stitches once again because they look a little muted down. There we go. We got some red in there. And we have to figure out what color we're gonna do this little hook or medallion between his cape here. We gotta figure out what to do this skull in. So, but before we do any of that, I'm gonna show you one way we can make this guy look a little bit nicer and neater. I'm working with my foot physical therapy. I am playing Sons of the Forest for a creepy ass spooky game. Oh, very nice. Very nice. This will be the last thing we do tonight. I'll go ahead and start it and show you what to do. I'm going to take this dark brown, this black brown we have, or you can use black. I would strongly suggest a brown for this. But we're going to go in and we're going to, remember how we said we wanted to make the letter B? So we need a thin paint to make the letter B. See, this is a little too thick. So I'm going to actually mix some of this together with some medium. I want a medium and not a water. I'm going to go one-on-one with the Monument Hobby. So anytime we're doing some detail work, we want to use medium so we don't lose a lot of the pigment. And so when I'm looking at this now, when I want to draw the B, it might still be a little too thick. I don't want a lot of medium. Nope, that might be too much medium actually. Oh, maybe if I use the right brush for this? No, this is the right brush. Oh my god, I'm having a stroke over here. All right. Alright, that looks pretty good. Alright, so now we have our paint. We have the right consistency. We have a point on the brush. Gotta have a point. Okay? And what you're gonna do is kind of just line, like right here. Just gonna line this, and then I will line over here, and I will line down here. You probably won't see this. I'm going to line under his belt, and I'm going to line under this belt. And so what you're actually doing here, I think I might have messed that up actually. What you're doing here is, so like in here, I can line right in there. Line there. You're actually kind of creating this nice, neat area change. But most importantly, you want to do it anywhere there's a material shift. So I'm using brown right now because I'm at the brown area of the tunic. So I'm using this, and I could use black because this is gray that meets brown. But you want to try to be as thin as possible. I'm doing it quick, so I'm not really being as careful as I should here. But what this does is it neatens things up and it brings together, it sort of separates, like all this part right here is now kind of separated, and like where this book is, see that this book where it meets the, it looks like the book is actually into his tunic or breastplate, whatever that is. As soon as you draw this line that separates it, it's now two different things. And that's kind of where we want to, now that you're going to find spots that you have to kind of clean up. That's not what we're doing here. What I'm doing here is I'm just, where the belt is, where the shirt meets the tunic, I would just draw this line right here. Right? Now, it's brown, so I'm using the brown for all of this area, but up here, I would use the mahogany. I would use either a dark green or I would use a dark purple where his face meets, or excuse me, his skin meets the cloth. Those are material shifts, right? Skin and cloth and leather, the cape, right? So where these boots are, see, like right in there where that red meets the boot. Since the boot is black, I would do the boot, I would do that line black, or I would do it as a dark red because it's part of the cape. So you figure out which two colors is coming through, pick the darker version of one of those colors, and make the line. It's a separating line. It'll look gross at the start, but then when it goes away, it'll kind of blend in. That's why we do the colors that kind of connect, right? So back here, there's nothing really connecting other than the shirt and the skin or the black. Like I would totally do the black. I'll show you. Because we didn't do the cape black, we did the cape gray. We just glazed down black. But right here, where this shirt meets the cape, I will actually use black to separate that out. I didn't thin this black down, so it's probably gonna look worse than it's supposed to. But that's something that you can do before we come back next Tuesday to finish him off, and then we'll figure out what we want to do down here. So it might just be an ivory line we do, or maybe we'll do some sort of design. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do just yet, but he's getting there. We have a couple more things to do next week. So, and if we wanted to, you could take some of the black, some of the white, and some of the blue. Make yourself a nice blue-gray. And you can paint the base. I wasn't really going to paint the base because I think we still have a couple more things to do with the cape, but we can clean up the base a little bit. There's a lot of warm colors in the front, so having this cool rock base kind of just gives that temperature contrast and actually presents him in a better I mean, it's dark, we haven't highlighted or anything, but we'll present him better. So there he is. And then we'll do more with that blue. I don't remember what we made that blue with. I think we mixed blue and green, right? See, from over here it looks fine, but I have to fix his eye. He's got red in one eye and not the other because I think I went too much on the black. So I'll fix that up before we come back next Tuesday. And if you think of anything that you might want to do for this gentleman, just let us know and we'll try to make it work. Oh, you know the one thing I did want to do? Well, we could do that next week. We can do that next week. There is installment 3. So we got a couple more, we got a couple blending things in. I'll have to go in and really kind of clean up some of mine as I'm looking at it now. It's not that hard to blend it in. It's just that when you're trying to do it on camera, it's really hard because I'm trying to keep it so that you guys can see it. But usually I have this right up to my face when I do it. All right. Well, there he is. Blend it with my face. I can try. I blend via smell. Nice. Nice. Alright. Well, that was fun, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have my phone to take a picture. I'll have to take a picture of him after. But there we go. Alright, let me start the music here. Stop the music! Oh, what was that? Alright, stop the music. Will it stop? Oh, it stopped today. Awesome, awesome. Let me come back out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for so much for hanging out. Hopefully everybody was painting, and hopefully you're getting some results. I know that I do a lot of mixing of paints, and I just kind of keep chatting about what I'm doing and probably going a little too quick for people painting. But, as you'll get to know me and you'll get to know, oh, I know what he's going to do. He's going to mix all these together and he's going to thin them out and he's going to glaze. So, yeah, once you get to know, but hopefully, I didn't want to go traditional black, red, white vampire. I kind of wanted to do a little bit more of a character with him. So hopefully the green face and the yellow tunic and the burgundy shirt kind of gives him a different feel. Ladies and gentlemen, next Tuesday is going to be a paint along. Because I have to make up for the Thursday I missed when I was teaching at ArmorCon. So next Tuesday, we're going to finish up the vampire as much as we can. So it's Halloween Tuesday. So I figured, why not just finish them up then? So the next paint along is going to be on Tuesday, not Thursday. On Thursday, I think we start a new miniature for a paint along, and it's going to be a cat barbarian. So what I'm going to start to do, I don't think there's going to be a paint along for December, but what I'm going to do next year is I'm going to start promoting some people that actually do sculpts and do the, you can get the 3D prints, or you can get the STLs to print them yourself, but I kind of want to promote that side of the hobby. So I'm going to go through and because there's some great miniatures out there that I just absolutely adore. So I figured, why not help those people out? And that way, if you have a 3D printer, you can get the miniature, and if you don't, I'll see if there's a way you can get the miniature. But I want to start promoting that side of the hobby. Everybody knows Reaper, everybody knows Citadel, everybody knows Nolzers. So if I can get those, but I kind of want to start promoting more people. Be the next Ralpartha. Yeah, I know. Ralpartha is over and done. So that's that. I will export this video to YouTube over the weekend. I'm on vacation next week, so I will do that before Tuesday's stream. And I will also put those links in the Discord. So if you're not following the Discord, join the Discord. Go to Thursday Night Paint Along channel. Look at what we're going to be doing and find the color palette. I do have to get the color palette for the Cat Barbarian though, so I have to take a look at it and see how I want to paint it. And so if you have it, and there's 2 links though for the Cat Barbarian, and it is one is where you can buy it, and one is where you can get the STL to print it yourself. I ended up buying it at ReaperCon. I absolutely love the miniature. I think it's hysterical. And so we should have a fun time painting that. Kawana Minis is the people that do it, and they do Cat Adventures. That's what it is. So they have a game called Cat Adventures. So if you're a cat lover, go to Cat Adventures or Kawana Minis, and you'll see all the stuff that they have printed out. So let's see. So that's on Tuesday. Also, Monday, the 30th, I may be doing a dual stream with a Night Whisper. Night Whisper is on 9 o'clock Monday nights. I'm going to try to do a dual stream with him because on November 6th, which I think is the next Monday after that, there will be a tri-stream between me, Night Whisper, and Muse's Touch, and we're going to be doing a promo mini for Captain Con in Rhode Island in February, and we're doing a pirate girl, which is called Captain Connie, and that will be what I will be painting for the next few Tuesdays after that. So next week, Monday, I'll be dual streaming with the Night Whisper. Tuesday, we'll finish up the Vampire. Thursday, we're going to start on Kawana Mini's Cat Barbarian. And then the following Monday, we're going to do a tri-stream with Muse's Touch and a Night Whisper. So join us in for all of that stuff. So a lot of stuff coming up. And you can always find that information in the Discord. Don't forget that we always have a slideshow. So every time I stream, there's a slideshow going. If you want to be a part of that, you want to show something that you really are proud of, we'll put you up there and with your Twitch stream or your Instagram stream, depending on what you want to be called. We're going to go find somebody to raid now. So thank you so much, everybody, for stopping in. If anybody has any suggestions on who they would like to raid, don't be afraid to put them in. I'm just going to go start looking. And also, for you guys that are painting along with me and are painting a vampire, throw it into chat or Discord. I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to see it. Let us see who is painting tonight. We could raid Raven Creeper. Raven Creeper? What are they doing? Let's see. Looks like Raven Creeper's playing a video game. I think we should follow them. I would totally follow them, but I think I want to keep this more as a miniature painting thing. I will go and check them out as soon as I raid out. You don't know anyone doing art yet? Yeah, it looks like we got Kelly Larson, Catmaster. I think Kelly Larson and Catmaster are doing something together. Mecha Minis is a sculptor. What Peleus is going on. Let's see, who else we got? Spark Minis. Let's paint minis. Yeah, so there's gameplay. Oh, let's see. I can show more here. Looking. You know what? I haven't raided Catmaster in a long time. We're gonna go do Catmaster. He's dual streaming with Kaylee Larson. I am gonna go and I'm gonna give a follow to this Raven Creeper who's playing a video game. I'll always follow people that people suggest, and I'll lurk in their stream for a little bit. But we're gonna go raid Catmaster because I never get to raid him. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for stopping in. Thank you so much for painting along. We'll see you on Tuesday to finish the vampire, or if you want to jump in on Monday's action, you can harass me and or Night Whisper and I think is the correct terminology on that. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are gonna go raid Catmaster. Let me get that in there quick, and then we will do all the ending stuff. Whoops. Master. All right, there we go. We are starting to raid him, so that's awesome. All right. I should probably go over to his channel as well. So let's do duplicate. Master. Yeah. Okay. I want to wait until the commercial is done, and then we'll get in there. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for hanging around. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.
You can even find a car in that movie on Auto Trader. Hey, find your own car.
So I use Graveyard Grim all the time. I use Duck Sauce Black all the time. I use the Gray all the time. And I don't have any problems. And I've been using the shit out of the blue. The bright blue? No problems whatsoever. But that purple has been doing that since day one, and I just thought it was... Oh, Rain! Jill Tip, what up? What up, Jill? And finish you off for dinner and lunch. What happened to all my folks? Oh, I don't know. They don't want to be here. They said, Cap? Oh, hell no. Oh my god, why are you so aggressive?
I
Jesus.
don't know what's happening.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna progressively get meaner with this.
It's just like, do you want to know what they're doing? They're literally just sending you one bit every time. Just one.
Oh.
One little... Yeah, so yeah, for the last... Okay. Yeah, since the last gifted sub, it's been one bit, one bit, one bit, one bit, one bit.
Okay. Alright, so the cow's not subs. It was the
No.
dinosaur.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
Jill, how was your stream tonight? Sorry, you rated in as Kaylee's blind, and I